Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Wonderful to see you all. Hi, Marie.
Hi, Svenja.
I just launched a small poll to know where you guys all are. We're curious to know where you're connecting from. So please answer our little poll in the chat. Normally you can see it. And during the event, feel free to ask us any questions you might have in the chat or the questions section. And yeah, we're really happy to have you here. Marie, I'm going to remove your stream and I'm going to put you back on stage later on. But thank you for connecting. All right. The number is going up. That's wonderful. I'm going to start to share my screen so we can start. Wonderful. Great. Okay, hi everyone. I see so many people connecting, friends from all across Europe. Really happy to see you all. That's wonderful. Hi everyone, I'm Svenja. I'm one of the co-founders of the European Edtech Alliance, and I'm really, really happy to have you be part of this event, this launch event. We're finally going live and launching after 1.5 years of hard work. So I'm really, really happy to see you all. Thank you for connecting. If you see the little poll that we prepared, please tell us where you're from, where you're connecting from today. Would love to know more about you guys. And I'm going to launch another poll to get to know you a bit better. To get you to know a bit better, to know what you're doing, where you're from, but we're really, really happy to have you here. So I see the numbers going up, so I might wait another minute or so before we start. Wonderful to see friends from Germany, from Switzerland, from Bulgaria. Thank you all for joining. Really glad to see you all. Wow, all right. Wonderful. Okay, nice. So as you see on this wonderful map, I'm using the tool, the European Edtech tool, actually called Genially. We use this tool to build this presentation with my colleagues, my colleague Felix from Sec Lab in Spain, and we really love this Edtech tool, and it builds great presentations. So thank you, Genially, a wonderful example of great European Edtech company. So welcome everyone. Just a quick brief on what we're going to do today. So my name is Svenja. Again, I'm the co-founder of the European Edtech Alliance. I'm also the vice president at Edtech France and the founder of my own company, LearnSpace. So I'm really, really happy to welcome you all. We're going to start with a small introduction of the European Edtech Alliance, what we've been up to, what are our goals, our mission, and then we are going to have Maria Spies coming in, the co-founder of HolonIQ. If you don't know HolonIQ, you absolutely have to check this wonderful global data intelligence platform built by Maria and Patrick. She's going to tell us a bit more about EdTech trends emerging from Europe. Then we're going to have an investor perspective with David from Bright Eye Ventures, an Edtech focused VC investing in European startups. And then we're going to have the chance to talk with growth stage startups, 3 founders, CEOs coming in and discuss, how they grow in Europe and abroad, and what's their perspective on, the future of our European market. So thank you all again for joining, and please, be social, live tweet with us. We have 2 hashtags you can use, the European Edtech one and the EEA launch, and you can tag us at European Edtech. So feel free to tag us and live tweet this event. So yes, this is the map. This is us. We are now 23 organizations, and yeah, I'm super proud that we achieved to bring all of these great folks together. So the Edtech Alliance is a consortium of Edtech associations, industry, trade associations, and Edtech-focused accelerators and incubators. So basically, we represent, more than, I think, 2,000 startups now with all of these great, organizations, but we are an association for associations. So we don't have single startups as members, but we have industry trade associations from single European countries as members, as you can see on this map. And of course, we have accelerators and incubators that are focused on EdTech, that are also doing, a great work bringing the EdTech community together, also part of the Alliance. So we received a lot of emails, a lot of also people trying to apply on our website, but I just wanted to tell you that for now we don't accept applications from single startups. We only accept applications from industry, trade associations, or EdTech accelerators. So behind these members, these 23 members, we have amazing folks that have been working hard for the past year and a half to, bring all this energy together. So I have 3 slides. We are a lot of people in this group. So, but, we have 15 countries represented. And, when I think of the beginning, we were, I think, 7 or 8. And now we have all these amazing people coming together every month, working together on our goals, our missions, on, getting organized. Because until now, we were, a group, quite informal, trying to share best practices and learn from each other. And now we really want to get organized and build an official organization, get funded, have someone that might be permanent working for us, that would build this alliance with us. So if you know any other trade association, industry association for EdTech based in Europe, or a local cluster, or an EdTech focused startup incubator accelerator we might not know about enough, please share the link to the European EdTech Alliance with them. We're happy to have new members coming in, and I know that some countries are not represented yet. For example, Portugal or Ireland. I see people from Ireland in the audience. If you guys want to come together, create an industry association or a local cluster, would be very, very happy to help you, support you in that. So please do not hesitate to reach out. So just a short history about, where we come from, why we came together. We came together for the first time in 2019. We were maybe 10 of us at the beginning. And we just, wanted to build something together, build a European voice for EdTech. And so at the beginning, we just, met every month to learn from each other, share best practices, identify opportunities also for collaboration Europe-wide. And then we said, okay, let's organize ourselves. Let's become an official organization, and try to do our best to join forces, build a single representative voice for the European EdTech industry. work with the EU towards more interoperability, towards more common rules, to ease the procurement processes and the creation of a European market, because that's what we're here for. We really want to see Europe as a market. Instead of having all our great talents and startups go to the US directly because they don't see Europe as a market, but as 27, 28 different, very different markets. So how can we create that interoperability? So that's one of our goals. And for that, we really want to work closely with the European Union, the different institutions, to try to make things move along on the policy side. And then on the organizational level, we really want to continue this groundwork to help each other understand each individual market better in order to just help our startups, help our members, our startups grow in Europe. Because, for Edtech France, for example, I know that so many French startups really want to go and see what's happening, in Germany, see if there's a market for them there. But, they have absolutely no idea on how to penetrate the German market. What are the codes? What are the regulations? And so how can we, build a community where we ease basically the internationalization of our startups in Europe, and we help each other out for that. So that's really the goal. So 2 levels, very different, but equally important. We really also want to become the widest reaching source of information for EdTech in Europe. And I'm really, really happy to share that we launched a newsletter that is going to be launched this month, just after this launch, with Jonathan Weiner. I'm sure many of you know Jonathan. He's doing an amazing work with the Nordic EdTech News. If you're not a subscriber yet, I urge you to subscribe to this one too. And Jonathan agreed to work with us to create the European EdTech News that I'm really proud to introduce today. So I'm going to share the link with you very soon in the chat. And so you're going to be able to just subscribe directly on Substack and receive once a month the news of the European EdTech, market and industry. So basically how it's going to work, Jonathan is going to work with each single member of the Alliance. So you're going to have the first-hand, the news coming from every single country. So it's going to be news that are going to be very up to date, because it's going to come from the countries and the representatives directly. So I'm really, really proud to announce that. So now I'd love to leave the stage to our first speakers, and then we're going to have the panel discussion with the founders. But I'd love for Maria to come on stage with me. Whoops, and share a bit more about her work, her amazing work. So Maria, if you're here, please join me.
Me? Can you see me on stage?
Yes, I can see you, can hear you. That's perfect. Hi.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Congratulations on your launch. This is just so wonderful. And it's a great big vision. It's fantastic. And I love to see so many people on the call here today, and no doubt actively involved in the Alliance over time.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen first up. So let me just share a presentation. And hopefully everyone can see this presentation. Can you see that, Svenja?
Yes, great. I can.
All right. So Svenja's asked me, and I'm so pleased to be here today. Svenja's asked me to run through a little bit of the funding and thematics in EdTech. Now, Holland IQ is a global EdTech and education market intelligence firm. So we look at thematics globally. And I guess my job here today is to connect some dots between what we see happening out of Europe and what we see happening around the rest of the world. And then I know David's going to follow up with lots of detailed information on the Europe scene. So shall I just jump in straight away, Svenja, and go ahead? Okay, firstly, let's just remember how big this market is. So all of you EdTechs, I see a lot of EdTechs in the audience. So the education market is massive, $7.3 trillion. People forget about that. And you can see how it's split up there between post-secondary corporate training or workforce lifelong learning, K-12 and pre-K, and how that's changing over time. This is very important. The way in which we're seeing some movement here, not so much in K-12, that's a solid group, but the movement between post-secondary and corporate training. People are moving away a little bit from long-form learning and wanting to move more quickly in upskilling, and we see that in the market sizing there. Even before the pandemic, education leaders all around the world were expecting disruption. Oh, well, I don't think they realised they were going to get it in quite the form it came, but, you know, people were thinking, look, education is changing, all from pre-K right through to lifelong learning, and a quarter of them at that time were thinking, well, you know what, digital is our biggest strategy. Now, 25% was digital as our growth strategy. But I think now if we asked again, and we will run this survey again, I think we'll find many more, maybe more like 95% are thinking that digital is their strategy. So this is sort of all good news for EdTech if you're in the audience. In terms of what's happening with digital spend, this is just sort of big picture overview. Of that $7.3 trillion market, there's still only between 3 and 5% digital spend in education. A lot of it's mainly on physical infrastructure and teachers and things like that. But we are going to see that grow. Initially, a real digital infrastructure catch-up. I'm going to talk about that later because we predicted this some time ago. We can see it happening right now. So, you know, digital infrastructure catching up for K-12, higher ed and the lot. We are also seeing the rise of B2C business models, EdTech models, as students and parents and workers are looking for more learning support. And of course, the whole technology in terms of mobile and advanced tech are enabling all this. So that's big picture. In terms of models, what we're seeing is, and expected to see, a sort of a movement in the direct-to-consumer model, a growth in that. Having said that, there's quite a number of direct-to-consumer EdTech who are now seeing the possibilities in B2B because, of course, governments and schools and universities and other institutions are putting up their hand and saying, we need to go digital. So you can see here the sort of pretty much 50-50 split between direct-to-consumer and B2B models. Let's look at EdTech funding globally. Whoops, what happened there? Okay, let's look at EdTech funding globally. I mean, I think the chart says it all. The size of the chart says it all in terms of that 2020 spend. There was a huge investment into EdTech all around the world. You know, the red sort of bar there is China. There's a massive amount of funding going in there, and I'll talk about that in a little minute. But USA and India in particular, and Europe growing strongly. It's less dollars, but growing strongly at the base. And Q1 of 2021 looks pretty much on track to be the same amount as 2020. And that may just be the new norm. And I think that's fantastic. But just head back to the still only 5.5% digital spend. There's a long, long way to go in EdTech, in globally across all sectors. What's happening? I'm going to deep dive into China and then I'll look at a little bit of Europe. So what's happening in China, just given those dollars, it's worth having a look in there. In terms of over the last 5 years, the funding in EdTech, you can see there tutoring, STEAM and coding, language learning, education resources. They're the big things. It's mainly in K-12 and mainly in tutoring effectively. Although, of course, everybody on this call would know that policy can make and break education markets. And so we've just seen a very, very big policy change in China, or policy and regulatory crackdown essentially in the Chinese tutoring and K-12 market. So we'll see what that looks like going forward. The other thing to note here is a general move to vocational training and vocational education, not just in China, but globally. We're seeing a lot of investment in the vocational space. And I think we'll continue to see that coming through in all geographies, including in Europe. Now, let's just have a look here. This is Asia broadly. So these are all the funding rounds, the EdTech funding rounds. Each of those circles is a funding round. The bigger the circle, the bigger the round. Over the last 2 years across North and South Asia, there's China, India, Southeast Asia, and so on. And then it's just split here by sector. So you can see the vast and the amount of funding that's going into the K-12 sector. This is something to do with demographics, of course. So where you've got India and South Asia, Southeast Asia, with a huge youth population, they're going to be spending a lot of money on K-12. Less so in the workforce, which is the yellow area. When I flip to Europe, we see sort of the opposite. Lots of rounds in the workforce, in EdTech workforce, upskilling, training. What we're seeing here is cybersecurity, a lot of tech training occurring. There's skills shortages across all developed nations, all developed economies. And I think what we're seeing here is the sort of reaction to that. K-12 in the green is still very strong. Not quite as many transactions as in workforce. However, this is the last 2 years. The next 2 years is going to be, I think, very different, because what we're seeing out of Europe and still many other countries in geographies is the government rethinking their approach to supporting access to education across the board, being more than just physical infrastructure, i.e. schools in every suburb, but really starting to think more about what infrastructure is needed for K-12 education. So my prediction here today is that in Europe, what we're going to see is a lot more funding in the K-12 space going forward compared with what we've seen before. I think everything is growing, and there's no doubt about that, but we're going to see a little more in the K-12, given my last sort of point here, which I'm going to run to. The thing that we're seeing all around the world, then Europe is no exception, which is K-12 learning technology infrastructure. And so governments are taking wholesale action now and putting money behind supporting teachers, schools, whole education systems, using digital for learning not only in the classroom but at home as well. And so we do see governments in Europe putting money towards giving students vouchers or dollars for internet access at home, so they can access education, because governments are thinking education is going to have to be digital, not necessarily fully online. Kids will go back to school, but digital will from now on form a much more core part of learning. So learning at home and learning at school will be a little more integrated through digital platforms. So we're seeing examples across India, Russia, China, Philippines. They're all planning national online learning management systems for schools. Germany, similarly. Japan allocating $4 billion to digitising education. UK setting aside funds to support technical setup of Google or Microsoft. Those platforms are free for schools, but you still need to implement them. And so the government sending money for that. Malaysia, Philippines, many other countries around the world spending hundreds of millions of dollars on learning on devices so kids can learn. They know governments are definitely preparing for a bit more of a digital future. And so I think what we're seeing here is a ripple effect. And going forward in Europe and across other geographies, next up will be much more support, I'm hoping. And I'm seeing a little bit, but I'm hoping what we're going to see is even more support for teachers, teacher training and teacher upskilling, and not only because there's massive teacher shortages everywhere, but also digital skilling for teachers, because that's just going to be incredibly important as time goes on. So I think, Svenja, I'm at slide 10 of 10. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I know that you've got other speakers coming on.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you for all of this. As always, your visualizations are amazing. So thank you for sharing.
Great. Let me just...
Wonderful. Right. Okay, do we have David? David, are you here? If so, can you please join the stage?
Hello.
All right, here you are. Hi, David.
Hi, Maria. Thank you for the great overview, Maria. It's great.
Thank you, Maria. That was amazing. Thank you.
You can send me off stage now.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much, David, to join us today and to give us your perspective as an investor investing in Europe specifically. So, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining, and looking forward to hearing your views.
Great, thank you. Just give me 1 sec. I'm trying to share my screen.
Of course.
You must authorize. Oh, wow, that's great. Okay, it seems we're not able to. Okay, well, it seems that I won't be able to share my screen, which sounds complete.
Okay.
Apologies for that. There is something with macOS Catalina. Let me share differently.
Okay. No worries. If you have any questions in the meantime for David or for Maria, just feel free to ask it in the questions section here on the right, and we'll answer live. And for all of you who asked me and us if you're gonna have access to these amazing slides afterwards, the answer is yes. When you register to Livestorm, you get the live stream. I mean, you get the recordings of this presentations and the videos and everything afterwards. So it's going to be sent directly to your email. So just after this session, you're going to have an email with the recording, and you're going to be able to see the slides again.
Apologies, I cannot share my screen, which is embarrassing.
No
there
worries,
is a technical issue.
It always happens on these specific moments. So really,
I know. Apologies, guys. Really, I'm just trying. Would it be okay, Svenja, if I share the presentation with you via email?
Of course.
And you can perhaps share the screen on my behalf.
Of course. Yes, please send it to me via email.
There you go, sent.
Wonderful.
But yeah, in the meantime, well, everyone, it's great to be here. Apologies for the technical issues here, but Svenja and the rest of the team, really congratulations for this great and much needed initiative. Really, it's thank you for having me, and really thrilled to be part of it, because it's something that I know you've been working really hard for the past, as you said, 1.5 or even more so. So it's really great to see that coming together.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Yeah. I just have your presentation, so it's gonna be ready now.
Thanks so much, and again, apologies. But yeah, in the meantime, so I'm David. I'm a principal at Bright Eye Ventures. We are the largest Edtech fund in Europe, and we invest at seed and Series A stages. We look for solutions that help people learn and grow. And we've invested in more than 28 companies over the past 3.5 years, including Ornica, Ironhack, Power MBA, U-School, Epic, and so on. So it's nice to meet you all. And again, Svenja, thanks for sharing the screen. So that's it on Bright Eye. Really, today I'm going to share an overview of our annual Edtech funding report that we released in late January. The good news is that the figures are up to date. I mean, kind of up to date. So it's basically fresh out of the oven. We updated, we included 2021 up to May. And if you want to move to the next slide, it's yeah, great. So it's going to be a lot of information. So I prepared a summary. Don't want to overwhelm you here, but if you're interested in digging a bit further, you can download the report on our website. So next slide, please. Yes, so this is the overview. So we're going to fly through the Edtech VC investment in Europe since 2014. You'll see amazing growth, super exciting. Then we're going to see the investments by countries, the investment by vertical, and finally the Bright Eye predictions for 2021. So that's the agenda for today. First one. So let's start with the exciting overview of the European ecosystem. So given the circumstances, 2020 was a very active time for the European edtech space. As you probably know, we've essentially witnessed a 10x growth since 2014. So from 70 million and up to 711 million. And so which reached record levels, and roughly 940 million have been raised in 2021, and we are only 5 months into the year. So it's extremely exciting. If we continue on that path, we could probably reach between 1.5 and $2 billion invested in 2021 in Europe alone. So as you can probably tell from the tone of my voice, I'm really happy about that trend, because it essentially tells us that the edtech space is beginning to mature in Europe. So if we move to the next slide, Svenja, thank you. Looking now at the split of funding by geography. So historically, as you can see here, the UK and France are the largest edtech markets. The UK has been clearly leading the way for the past 5 years, and it represented 30% of total deals in 2020. So still the main player, I would say. In 2020, so last year, the big winner though was the rest of Europe. So right at the right of the screen. So especially Central and Eastern Europe, where the deal activity has increased considerably. For instance, Brainly drove that growth with a massive round that the company raised last year. But the best news of this year for me, being a French citizen myself, is that France is in pole position so far in 2021. We will see whether this will last or not, but that's very encouraging for the French edtech ecosystem. So if we want to move to next slide, please. Thank you. Looking now at the split of funding by 4 verticals. So essentially, to make things easier, at Bright Eye, we see the edtech space across 4 verticals. So corporate, which is a corporate training, university, higher ed, and K-12 and consumer, right? So as you can see, corporate training and consumer still represent the majority of VC investment in Europe. The big surprise in 2020, which is clearly tied to what Maria said earlier in her presentation, is that the K-12 vertical increased considerably in 2020. So we saw literally a 600% growth for seed and Series A rounds. We strongly believe that this K-12 acceleration was driven by 2 trends. The first one is homeschooling, and the second one is schools looking for immediate solutions to manage remote learning, right? Because most schools were not ready, unfortunately. So this is an interesting overview to see how the market is shifting across verticals. If we want to move to the next slide, please. Thank you. And this is the exciting one, which is the predictions, the Bright Eye prediction. So every single year we try to predict between 4 and 5 macro predictions to try to guess where the market is going. So because of timing reasons, and I'll focus mainly on 2 trends out of the 4, but these are the 4 trends that we've predicted. So the first one is the unbundling of post-secondary. The second one is what we call just-in-time learning, which is an increased overlap between learning and productivity, especially in the B2B context. The third one is the distance learning and after-school tools, so a bit more K-12. And the last one is community learning. So if we take a closer look at the unbundling of post-secondary, for instance, so we believe that that's the same slide. Thanks, Svenja. So we believe that the pandemic essentially has shed the light on one thing in the higher ed space, which is university is not everything you need to enter workforce, right? So as a result, we are seeing more and more alternative solutions, such as boot camps, apprenticeships in the UK or in Germany. And the market is essentially allowing students to bypass traditional universities. This is a massive shift, really. And these solutions, right? It's not something super new, because we've been seeing boot camps for the past 5, 6, 7 years. But essentially, they allow students to learn new skills and provide a pathway to employability. So I'm thinking about boot camps like Ironhack, Iconoclast, Multiverse in the UK, which is more on the apprenticeship side of things, Holberton School, and so on. So this is a very, very exciting one. This one is obviously a bit longer term. It's not only 2021, but it's something that I've been cooking. I've been cooking the background for a while, and that is starting to materialize. The second one that I like to go a bit deeper, perhaps, is the community learning. So I'm very, very excited by this one. So what we are seeing is this new wave of edtech companies that are leveraging communities to improve the overall learning experience of learners, right? So I'm thinking about the Power MBA, for instance, or U-School or Tandem in our portfolio. And here, what is interesting is that we anticipate a strong shift from community as a learning add-on, meaning that people are coming or learners are coming for the content, mainly, and then they realize on the back end that, oh wow, you know what, there is a community and it's actually pretty good and it's engaging and so on. So the shift will be like, okay, today the community is an add-on, so it's not the main, it's not the core product, to community as the core product, right? To keep accelerating the learning process. So again, this trend is a bit longer term, but it's a very exciting one. So, and if you're really interested by that trend, I've just published yesterday a piece on the power of learning communities. So feel free to check it out. And that's it for me. I mean, I know it's a lot of information, but thank you for listening, and back over to you, Svenja.
Thank you, David. Fascinating, and thank you for your hard work, always publishing great pieces of content. So I strongly recommend you guys to follow David on LinkedIn and Twitter. He's always, publishing really, really great and qualitative content. So this report is one of them, and his new piece from yesterday is also super interesting on learning communities. So I strongly recommend it to you. Thank you so much, David. We're gonna basically go to the panel discussion now, hearing the voice of founders in growth stage, internationalization stage, to hear more about how they manage basically to grow in Europe or outside of Europe. So thank you. And if Martin, Mary, and Manjit can come on stage, that would be amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, here you are. Wonderful.
Hello. Can you see me?
Hey. Hi there.
Hi, Martin, Marie, Manjit.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Thank you so much for being among us today.
Welcome.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
For inviting.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you accepted our invitation. I think it was really important for us to also have the voice of startups evolving in the field that's also started in Europe and now trying to grow in Europe and abroad. So I'm really happy that we can have this discussion. And in the audience, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and also pick some questions from the audience during this conversation. So the three of you basically have built startups from ground up, edtech startups. I'll let you introduce yourself quickly, but yeah, I think it's also very interesting to hear from your different perspectives, your different countries. Martin, you're from Sweden. Marie, you're from France, and Manjit from the UK. How is it to build an edtech company in your country, and then to think of scaling it abroad? But we can just start by a quick introduction. Maybe Marie, you can start.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm Marie. I'm founder of Marbotic. So we do toys, basically. We do learning toys. I'll show you just one. So it looks like that. So it's a wooden toy that interacts with the tablets. And so we develop the hardware and also the software. And our team is mostly composed of engineers and product team, basically. We're based in France, and I started up in 2012. So it's the 9th year in the making. And yeah, we've been very, very international. I wouldn't say from day one, but maybe from year 2, basically. We've gone outside France, starting the 2nd year. So I'm excited to be here and to be in this panel.
Thank you, Marie. Manjit?
Hi there. Thanks again for inviting me. Just really pleased to be here for the launch. So NatterHub, it's a social media educational platform for young children, for 5 to 11-year-olds. And we teach children about the genre of social media, prepare children to be online. It's an experiential platform, so children learn by doing, safe, gated, and it's the education that comes before children, go out to the internet unaided and before they have their first device. And a little bit about, it's a global issue, a global problem, and a little bit about our background. So we were very lucky enough to secure some funding from Twinkle, our strategic investor, in 2019, which was great. And we actually launched in the pandemic. So as soon as we went into lockdown, we launched. So since then, we've had 4,000 schools sign up in over 60 countries, which has been amazing. I need some sleep. It's just been full on for the whole year. But it's been a great journey. And in Europe, we're in 15 countries at the moment. So that's me. And basically, we're just so pleased that in Europe that we are, that all the countries are using NatterHub for their online safety and digital literacy provision. Over to you, Martin.
Yes, thank you. I hope you hear me. So also very pleased to be here. It's fantastic. I think this initiative is just amazing, and I think it can bring a lot of good things to all in this place. So I'm the CEO of Lexplore, and I joined 1.5 years ago, so I cannot claim I'm one of the founders. So Lexplore is an amazing tool that is using eye tracking technology and artificial intelligence in a very accurate way to assess the reading levels in children in all ages and even up to adult age. And we were founded back in 2015 initially as a research project in Karolinska Institute here in Stockholm, which is the institute that gives out the Nobel Prize in medicine. We started as a medtech company, in fact. But today we are an edtech company, and we have customers in both here, Sweden, of course, also in other markets in Europe, and also going into other markets in internationally outside Europe for sure. So, but I still think it's an amazing market. In Europe, it has its challenges for sure when it comes to different languages and all those kind of things. But I'm sure that this association alliance here will help us to cover overcome some of those challenges, I would say. So, and I have to say, I was lucky enough to be participating in the whirlpool of mobile internet as being part of a telecom space. And I think I can see the same trends here, I think from the previous speakers here. It seems like we are in the starting point of something really, really cool, and I'm really excited about it. Xenia, you disappeared.
Yeah, I think she did.
So
I was having
I'm going to jump in. I'm Nina from Visa, head of Edtech at Visa. And while Sven is reconnecting, I'm just jumping in. So thank you all and welcome for participating. Sorry, one of the questions we wanted to ask you was how do you see your future growth in Europe? And when you think of internationalization, are you focused purely on Europe in terms of growth, or are you thinking about other territories, US, Asia Pacific? What's your personal plans there? Marie, if I come to you first.
Yeah. So When we started, early on, we looked at our own country to start with. You know, it's much more easy when you have the language and
I'm back. Sorry.
oh, hello again. So our tool is a literacy tool. So to learn how to read to kids. So, you know, like our first instinct was to do it in our own language, of course. But early on, we realized that even though France is one of Europe's, you know, big countries and economical powers, it's really not at the scale of the world. And it dawned on us really early that France was really too small to have the growth that we wanted to for our ambitions, and also just to sustain our needs and our expenses. So early on, we localized our products, and I think that's one of the assets that us Europeans all around here in this panel do have, is that we weren't born with the global language at our fingertips. So we needed to do this extra step of translating and localizing all our content, and so that we did really early. And so not only in English but also in German, in Spanish, in Italian, in Portuguese, and in Dutch. So we really embraced the multilingual aspect of our tool, and that opened many doors for us. Obviously, the door that was the most responsive was the American market. So the US market has been our core focus for the last 5 years, and we have I would say over the last 5 years, we have done 90% of our turnover outside France. And I would say among these 90%, I would say USA has been more than half of that. But we're now in the process of seeing how we can grow also inside Europe. And we have had success stories, not in France, not yet, but in the Netherlands, and also in the Nordic countries, so mostly Sweden and a bit of Denmark too. So it boils down for us to which countries are the most equipped with iPads, because our tool is really compatible with iPads. Also some Android tablets, but iPad are the best of the compatibilities. And we know that the Netherlands and Nordic countries are really well equipped with these devices. So we also follow that trend.
Thank you. Martin, what about you? Where have you focused your international strategies?
Thank you. No, so our origin here is here in Sweden, but we have since years now also gone into, for example, in the UK and also into US, as Marie mentioned. Our tool is we need when we go into a new country and a new language, we need to train the system, because we are an AI machine learning system. So it takes efforts to go into each country. So you need carefully to look into which countries you enter into. And to date, we are, as I said, in Sweden, in Norway now. We just entered into Norway. We are in the UK. But also now we have just launched in Portugal, and we are on our way into Germany as well. So Europe is a very central market for us, for sure. But as many others, of course, we look at the US. We also have established operations in Australia, New Zealand now, because we're also following the languages. So English as a language, and we both work with direct sales, like we do here in Europe. We also work with indirect sales channels in other countries, for example, trying to get into Brazil as one example, and Portugal is also managed part. So absolutely, Europe is a very important market, and for us, we also need a lot of testimonials, a lot of customer evidence. We do a lot of research projects together with other universities and so forth, and so Europe is a very important market for us. But certainly, we are approaching or looking at other countries as well.
That's fantastic, and I think one of the key missions of the Alliance is to draw together all of this experience from all of the companies that we respectively represent. Thinking about the future of the Alliance, Manjit, what would you like to see the Alliance do for you and for all of the startups that we represent collectively? What do you think are key our KPIs would be the year ahead?
So I think for me personally, it would be great to connect with all the European markets with regards to our subject matter, online safety, digital literacy. It would be
Sorry
great.
to interrupt. Martin, can I ask you to just put your mic on mute, because I think we're getting a bit of echo. Oh, you are. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think for me, like just for what I'm doing, the biggest mission is to connect with to make it easy, firstly, to connect with other markets and be really, aligned with other people in our sector. So all the European countries to know who's responsible for online safety, digital literacy, and to be able to collaborate. Because at the moment we've just grown organically, but and we're in those countries, in those 15 countries in Europe, which is fantastic. But it'd be really great to be able to scale and to work with local partners. So I think the key thing would be just to be aligned with who's doing what we're doing in your country would be the most important thing. And then I think just simplicity. I think obviously BISA have helped, but it'd be really great to have the same experience with other markets and just simplicity for founders. There's just so much on our plates. So it's just to make it easy, I think would be, I know that's what we all want, but just to make it really easy with whatever we need, whether that's funding, sponsorship, partnerships with local, education authorities. I think it's just the ease and just how we can collaborate would be my most important thing. And then I think I could keep going, but I'll go with one more. And it's just I think the most important thing with our tool is just to make sure that, I just want to make sure that children get, in all the territories across the globe, that children get the most helpful and impactful products in their hands. It's just, how do we do that? How do we spread awareness and just work closely with the territories that care about what all founders are doing? I'll stop there because I know we're short for time as well. Oh, you're on mute, Nina.
Nina, now you.
It's only taken me a year. Svenja, you're back.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I had my internet shut down for a minute. So thank you so much for jumping in, Nina. But I could hear all of you, but I couldn't speak. But thank you. Thanks for your great answers, Manjit. I took notes from what you said. I think it's very important. Martin, do you want to add on to that?
No, I want to concur a little bit to what Manjit said. And I think I have a great experience with Edtech Sweden, for example, and they are really working also towards the Ministry of Education and influencing and helping us to be seen in that industry. And I think if you in this alliance can do similar thing, and I know who to go to, so Senia, now I know who to go to in France, for example. And I think that is a fantastic asset that you can bring to us, because every system looks a bit different. And of course, depending on what products you're selling, you will be more or less dependent on how these different school systems works. And I think that is a fantastic thing that you can support us with. And I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Martin. That's the plan. That's the plan. Thank you. Marie? You're on mute.
I would also add the networking part of it is really interesting because, we're a bit like the dark sheep, everywhere we go, because we have a hardware and a software component, and we're a toy, and we're a learning system, and everywhere we don't really know where we fit. So in one time we went to CES, at Las Vegas, the time when we could fly, you could take actual flight. And so I remember I had a chat, with a guy who was a CEO of IoT company, and he told me, "What? You're trying to do an international startup? You're based in Bordeaux? Pff, never mind. You will never succeed. At least maybe if you were in Paris." Maybe, but London is the place to go. And I'm so happy that I could prove him wrong, and that it's been already 9 years and we're still making it, and we're still doing it based in Bordeaux, because we also, that's, you know, a balance that we can find, you know, even not being in a big metropolitan area in Europe. So the networking part of it, I think, is really empowering, is really, it helps us, you know, hold tight, and it helps us understand that others are making it from other parts of Europe. And I really long that we can meet together again, because, you know, it's really nice to be able to connect and to have these video chats. But, you know, at one point, I think we should definitely meet together and, you know, spend time together.
Yes, Martin?
Now, I just want to say that I have an expression which I like, which I call co-opetition. I don't think we need to be afraid to that we are competing. I think there's enough room to everyone to do a bit of co-opetition. In other words, let's try to, where it makes sense, let's try to cooperate instead, and because together we might be stronger. If you see my point, and we can. So I think that's something I want to bring to the party here. That.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And you know this saying, someone said, like, building a startup is like a marathon, and building an EdTech startup is like an Ironman. So we're all like fellow Ironman, you know, and we just have to, yeah, exactly, to hold tight and to talk with each other. And that's always been my experience. Even though we had like direct competitors in our industry, it ended up being the most fruitful partnerships in the end, working with them. And there's also, you know, this industry is in its early stages. Although, like, it's been 20 years that we've been saying that EdTech is growing, it's always still in its baby, you know, stage. And, you know, we don't have the sizes to fight each other right now. So I totally agree with you, Martin.
Definitely. And what will also help, and what we're thinking of, is creating a map, starting with a map, you know, who's doing what in Europe, and where can you find your potential partners, future partners for your venture. So with Edtech France, we did that. We just launched a map of old startups in France, so they can see, you know, oh, who's doing what I'm doing, and maybe I can go and talk to them and build bridges. And so we really want to also do that for Europe, and allow you guys to find easily the startups that are working on the same, you know, topics, and build bridges between you and them, basically. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this, for your inputs, for your ideas. I was really happy that you could join us today. I'm really thankful. So thank you guys, and we'll stay in touch. We'll build bridges.
Thank you so much.
It's our mission. So yeah, thank you all. And yeah, we just wanted to conclude, you know, this session, telling you all that, you know, you're welcome to reach out at any time on our website, edtecheurope.org. Also, you can send us, you know, an email at contact@edtecheurope.org. You know, if you want to collaborate, if you want to help us build this alliance and reach our dream, please, you know, feel free to contact us, to get in touch. We're happy if we can get all the support we can, because our mission is quite ambitious. So thank you all for joining today, and for, you know, all your great energy in the chat. That's quite amazing to see, and we're looking forward to launching the first steps of this great ambitious mission. So thank you all again, and I'll write in the chat, you know, our contact details. But yeah, follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, subscribe to the newsletter. Everything is going to be on our website soon. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from you and staying in touch with all of you wherever you are in Europe. But thank you for being there, being present today to celebrate the launch. And now we have to get back to work, because we have tons of work waiting for us. So yeah, thank you.